You've come to the right place if you're looking to create, launch, and scale a high-value online training program. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I'm the co-founder of LifterLMS, the most powerful learning management system for WordPress. Stay to the end. I've got something special for you. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMS Cast. I'm joined by a special guest and personal friend, Jonathan Denwood. He's from wp-tonic.com. Today, we're going to be having some real talk, some honest talk about the pros and cons of using WordPress for your membership site or a hosted solution like Kajabi and so on. Welcome back on the show, Jonathan.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. It's a pleasure coming back on your show again.
Yeah, it's good. I'm so excited to have you. And in our pre-chat, we were talking about, some of the topics that are just kind of evergreen in our niche and areas where we're really focused and where we have kind of a gold mine of experience and time in the trenches that we want to really have a frank discussion around using WordPress for a membership site or a LMS versus a hosted solution. Like, what are the real drawbacks of WordPress? What are the real pros? What kind of people or projects are a better fit for one platform or the other? Let's dive into, let's start with a negative, just because I'm always so positive and I know you are too. But let's start on the dark side. What's a drawback to using WordPress for a membership site?
I think there's just slightly more hoops to jump through. And in the new year, probably WP Tonic is going to have a new solution. We're going to continue being a hosting solution as well. But we can talk about that at the end. But I think there's just more loops to jump through. You've got to get a hosting provider. You have to get a domain. But in truth, with most hosted SaaS solutions like Kajabi, you have to get a domain anyway. But you do have to get hosting, and then you have a blank page with WordPress. You then have to go and find these what I call Lego bricks. Mm-hmm. Which are plugins, and you have an endless feast of plugins. And if you're somebody new to WordPress or just edited as your own or somebody else WordPress website and you like the experience, but you've never built a membership website, you have audience, you have knowledge in your field, but you never mechanically built out a membership, which has a number of balls that you're juggling. You just got that blank WordPress website and you just got to go and find these Lego bricks, and then you've got to assemble them all together and then build a coherent membership website where if you got Kajabi, you don't have that blank sheet. You have the key Lego bricks inside the SaaS product.
It's just one account to sign up for instead of hosting and all these different plugins and all this stuff.
Well, it's the hosting, which is only one step in truth, is it? But
yeah.
But then you've got to find these Lego bricks, haven't you? These key plugins that will be your WordPress tech stack that will enable you to build your membership website.
I find myself giving conflicting advice sometimes around creating a minimum viable product or MVP for a membership site. On one hand, there's an argument that you could just start with a SaaS solution like Kajabi and kind of get product market fit, figure it out, and then later, as you want more power and customizability, you can switch to WordPress. But there's this other argument that why don't you just start with WordPress? It's cheaper, it's lower cost. You don't have to worry about transitioning out of a hosted platform later. How would you engage with the debate of the MVP? Should you do it on WordPress or should you do it on a SaaS solution? When might that work for different people?
Well, I think there's two fundamental decisions that you've got to make. Is this going to be a multiple course membership business, a real membership business where you're building a real community and you're probably going to have multiple tiers of different courses on it, which is you're going to build up on a number of years. This is going to be a 1 to 5 year exercise.
Yeah.
But the outcome is a sustainable business, which you probably will give you the freedom to give up your day job or give you more freedom in general. So that's a great outcome. But if that is not your end result, you're just looking to add a one course functionality to the services that you're offering in general, and you have no plans to build a multi-course structure with community, you probably will be better off looking maybe at a SaaS, but or just a one-off membership plugin. So there's still a choice there, but I think that is another way that you've got to look at it. Is it just going to be a one course add-on, which you can, in the WordPress space, you can achieve that by just using a membership plugin, or you could use something like Teachable or Learnable, which are in the SaaS area ideal for that type of setup. But if you're looking at the first setup, I think for what I call digital sovereignty, not building your business on entirely somebody's property, that, you should try for, like any business, investing an enormous amount of time and energy on something that somebody totally owns is not a very good business concept in my view, Chris.
Yeah, building your business on rented land on a hosted platform is not necessarily a great idea. Like recently, Udemy increased or decreased the amount of revenue share they did with their instructors, and those instructors had no say or control or power to, go against that. When it comes to getting started with WordPress for a membership site, what advice would you have for getting started if we are committed to at least dedicating 5 years of our life to WordPress? And how might that be different if we were starting on a hosted solution and plan on being there for 5 years?
Yeah, I think I've just put off half your audience listening to this podcast because I've just mentioned 5 years, haven't I? But the good thing about this is, and one of the most exciting elements of this whole field, Chris, is that 5 year journey. That 5 year, a lot of that can be, this can be your side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
This can be your business that you're building up gradually. And a lot of propaganda on the internet about side hustles are based on total rubbish, lies, deceit, nonsense. But what we're engaged in with your great plugin and this podcast, and what I'm trying to do, is that we're legitimately offering a solution that really offers the ability of somebody to build something as a side hustle that's real, that isn't the snake oil. Not saying it's easy, but in that 5 year journey, a lot of that can be your side hustle. So that's the first thing. And I've just forgotten your question because I've just rabbited on so much, Chris.
No, that's good. I like the reframe on the 5 year thing, because it's really a question of how serious are you about this project. And my original question was, how do you get into WordPress if you're new and you want to own the platform that you're building and have the digital sovereignty? What are the key things to avoid, and what are the pro tips when getting into WordPress for a serious 5-year plan membership business that may be a side hustle in the beginning or may always be a side hustle?
Don't choose really cheap hosting providers, number one. It doesn't have to be ridiculously expensive either at WP-Tonic. We start at a yearly plan at $35 a month, and that will cover your first year at least, easily cover your first year, and probably cover a good part of your second year if you're starting from the bottom up easily. So good hosting. And then your key Lego brick is going to be your learning management system. And if you're starting from the ground up, I think LifterLMS is the obvious solution because it offers so much value for the person beginning at the bottom that it is the clear leader. And I'm not saying that because you're a personal friend. I believe that. It's a no-brainer. You would start with LifterLMS because a lot of the functionality is free, but you've also very well and logically sorted out add-on features that you get in add-on functionality plugins, which gives the ability for a very low cost to start off at the bottom, and then you have packages as well that are logical. So LifterLMS can take you from beginning, middle to a very large membership site and deal with the spectrum. And it is going to be the key Lego block of all the other plugins that you add on. So start with LifterLMS.
Awesome. And what are some of the things people may not be thinking about in terms of removing friction with starting with WordPress? One thing is like WP Tonic hosting already has the tech stack sorted for approximately, including the hosting, for approximately $300 a year. You can't start a business like if you were going to rent an office. That's just the base layer.
Actually, a little bit higher. It's 420.
420. Yeah, right. But still, like for less than $500 a year, you can start. So that's one thing, is to get high quality hosting. Another is you don't have to do it by yourself. Like you can still find technical talent to help do things on your site or help you with your marketing. What are some creative ways to remove the complexity in addition to getting hosting that's designed for LMSs and membership sites? What else can people do to remove pain around the complexity of WordPress?
Well, I think the other key LifterLMS, the other key decision is how are you going to build your website? How are you going to build your landing pages? That is the next key decision. And basically, for various reasons, that has unfortunately become a little bit more complicated. But in some ways, we are all seeing the possibility that becomes a much more simpler choice in the near future. At WP, we give you two options that I think are the two clearest in our mind, but it's debatable. This is not black and white. And those two choices are Elementor or Cadence WP. And Cadence is a framework that builds on the native WordPress website and page building functionality of Gutenberg, but does it in a very logical and powerful way. And at WP Tonic, we've just finished building a whole series of starter themes on Cadence. That's part of our hosting package, a library of 15 starter templates. with different looks, but purposely designed for a membership learning community. And we offer that as part of our hosting package. So I think, unless you specifically, and I've got nothing wrong with Elementor, because I think Elementor is a professional quasar freelance, professional building website tool. It's still superb. But I think if you're somebody that's an entrepreneur, I think Cadence WP on Gutenberg really offers a lot of power without, with having a team that can moderate some of the new functionality that's constantly being added to Gutenberg. They can act as a filter. So you don't have to deal with the consequences of added new functionality being added. So they act as a editor filter, and they've added a lot of additional functionality. And I've been using Cadence. I still use Elementor, and I use a couple other page builders. But I've also lately I've built a couple of websites on Cadence, and I've just been really impressed with it, Chris.
Yeah, Cadence has done a great job. And it really helps with that blank page problem of WordPress. Like, you get kind of sold on the power and the customizability, but if you start from complete scratch, you have a white screen and no pages on your website. And if you're lacking design talent, you may not be able to build something that really looks good and appeals. Shifting gears to marketing and content. One of the benefits of WordPress is you're basically building content on your website, contributing to your domain authority, your SEO. What advice do you have, and where can people remove friction to get the marketing part of the membership machine rolling? And how is that better in WordPress versus a hosted platform?
Yeah. I think there's two parts to that. I think for a lot of people, before you do invest time and energy on building a membership website, I think there's a host. We're in the end of 2023. I think one of the great things, there's never been a greater time to start a membership website. And the reason why I say that is that there's never been a more easier or time to build a community on Facebook, on various platforms, on YouTube, on TikTok, you name it. There's a dozen different platforms, and you've got a great example that you've discussed recently on the Membership Machine Show podcast, where you talked about a gentleman that teaches party magicians that does special things with balloons, and he's built a whole membership. And you would never believe that you could build on six-figure ongoing business teaching people how to do special things with balloons. But he's managed it. You could only do that in 2023. Yeah. You couldn't do that. I don't think you could have done that 10 years ago. But I think it's really so. Obviously, some niches, if you only got 10 people in the world, that's a problem. But most niches, there's a big enough world community so that would allow you to have a sustainable, great business if you provide the right community environment. So I think that's the great thing. So you got to build an audience. And I would suggest that you try and build it on other people's platforms, and then always constantly try and get them on your mailing list. Constantly offer upsells through free additional content that's linked to the content that you're putting on these other platforms that you don't own. Always encouraging the people to come to your website to get free offerings that give additional value to the things you're publicizing on other people's platforms. And it sounds a lot of work, but these can be just 1 or 2 page PDFs that offer created content. It's something that I'm going to up my game in 2024. But the thing is to get them on your mailing list, because when you do your first membership, if you've got a tight but engaged mailing list, it's going to make the whole process of getting your membership site launched so much easier. Instead of being disappointed by the response and having to grind through the mental hurdle that presents you, you're just going to have a nice launch, but not a crazy launch where you just have too many people signing up. It's going to be controlled, and you're going to have that nice first group of students, and you'll be off and running. And that getting off and running is the biggest hurdle. Getting that wheel moving in any kind of business is the thing that takes so much effort. So if you attract those people and you got them on a mailing list, and then you can publicize your first course through that mailing list, that's going to be easy. And that links to what WP Tonic offers, because one of the failings of most hosting is they don't offer the mechanism to send out marketing email. We do at WP Tonic. We provide very generous email marketing limits on our plans, and through Fluent CRM and MailPoet, two powerful tools, MailPoet, and you can do both things, but MailPoet is really designed for monthly newsletters, where Fluent CRM, you can do newsletters now, but it's really actually more powerful, better tool than ActiveCampaign, in my opinion. And we offer that. So you really do have a very because it is getting them on your newsletter, on your list, and then keeping that relationship going before you launch your first course. Does that make sense, Chris?
That makes sense. And let's dig in double click a little bit on, this is again a WordPress versus hosted solution. What do you like about a WordPress, without getting into marketing automation yet, but just having the email list and the ability to send broadcast marketing emails? What do you like about a WordPress solution like Fluent CRM that you mentioned versus a hosted solution like a MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, or ConvertKit?
Well, I've recently done a big dive in these, and it is as confusing as it was ever. Now, MailChimp was the darling because you could send 2,000 email. You could have a list of 2,000 subscribers, and I think you can send as many emails as you like. Those days have gone. There was a drawback to that anyway, because the actual servers they were utilizing on that free plan weren't the best type of servers. So a lot of that email never got to people's inboxes, but they kept that well suppressed, that knowledge. But those days are long gone, because it's down to 500 contacts. And there are Alasus, Bravo. There is been renamed. I think it was Sending Blue, but they're called Bravo now. And there's a couple others. But they're going to charge you. I think I always look at the 1,000 contact limit, because I think you're going to get 1,000 and then build from that. All of them 1,000. You're talking about $35 a month, roughly. All the ones that I would consider. But then if you move over, you get from 5 to 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10, you start then talking hundreds of dollars. With our solution for $35 a month, 420 a year, you can send out to 10,000 contacts, unlimited email. That covers almost, apart from the top 10% of membership websites, that covers everybody. You will never have to pay any more. And you can send out as many bloody email as you like. That's why you should look at WordPress.
Yeah, that's great. I'm thinking hard about that myself because I have a pretty large email list and I'm paying over $1,000 a month to ActiveCampaign and something like Affluent CRM.
Yeah, I think Jack from WP Fusion was using ActiveCampaign, and I think he's just moved to Fusion CRM. He wrote a post lately, and he's got a massive list, and he's been totally happy. So that's a lot of money you would be saving. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It is. Let's talk about another issue that comes up for membership site builders and course creators, which is video hosting.
Yeah.
And maybe hosting your own videos like in your WordPress media library is not a good idea like today because it just requires so many resources. So what are your thoughts on video, how to keep the costs down and, use a high quality mix of tools or a certain tool to handle your video needs? Because it's essential for almost every membership site. And it's one of those things that's really painful and hard to change later.
Yeah, well, when I was starting, this is the other reason why you need to get your first course up and running and get your first feedback. And I keep going on about that. Your minimum viable course. Do not try and build what I call war and peace straight away. And the reason I'm going off subject a little bit is when I first started building WP Tonic, we had a fully hosted video solution as part of our package. And it was quite good. There was absolutely no interest in it. So it was a white labeled solution, but it was really good. But I dropped it because we got a lot of people that had already signed up with Vimeo. And Vimeo, unfortunately, it's a very great company, based in Holland, I think. But they've gone the same way as MailChimp, is that they've upped the prices quite a lot, and they're only going in one direction, and that's up, right? Because they've had a problem with profitability. They were a VC-backed company which was trying to get market share. That market share has, during the acceleration has slowed, and now they're looking at profitability. So the prices are only going to go up. And video is a really important part of any membership website. Now, you won't be allowed, and you shouldn't, store your video on your hosting account. We do have ban limits with WP Tonic. We got to have them because, we have had some people that tried to use our hosting, and we can do it, but we need to have a discussion with some. They've tried to utilize SCORM files and other very, very large. That's the kind of quasi-professional educational marketing area tool. These type of very specialized file formats that take a lot of bandwidth, disk and bandwidth. But video, you should not store video on your hosting account. But the good news is there is a really superb solution here that is less than 1/5 the cost of Vimeo and some of the other providers. And that's to use a company called bunny.net and use a plugin called Presto Player. And combine it, we can set it up for you. All you have to do is set up your bunny.net account and then give us the login details, and then we'll link it to the Presto player that we provide as part of our package. And basically, you get superb performance. Plus, with Presto, you can have your videos accessible from your media library. So it makes the whole process of managing, and also it comes with Presto Player really enables you to have multiple videos in your course. And it also gives you a great analytical data about who's watching the videos. It's just a really powerful bundle. But the people, it's really hard to explain that, but we get a lot of interest with people when they are running a medium-sized membership course, and they just get in a bigger bill from Vimeo, and there's some other players in it that cost even more. And then they realize what they should have been using Bunny.net with Presto from the beginning, because I'm always advising them, but they've signed up with their Vimeo. But they normally, when they start getting traction and they coming up for renewal, then they go with Bunny, and they all wish that they had done it earlier.
I love that. And I'm personally in the middle of a issue with Wistia, which is a great video.
Great company, but they know how to charge.
They increased their prices exponentially at the beginning of the year, and not just a little bit, by many, many multiples. And I ended up getting kind of stuck because I have so many videos in all these different places, different websites. So yeah, it's an important one to choose wisely. And I've been watching Bunny.net over the years, and they've stood the test of time, and, you know, people really love them for the service and the reliability.
And you got an alternative, I think, because it's been rock solid, but Cloudflare have also introduced a service. But I don't know if Presto Player are going to link it to Cloudflare as well. I've not checked that lately. I'd imagine they're going to add that. So you got now two great choices. One, at the present, I will have to double check, but Cloudflare is offering a similar system to Bunny.net, and they're both great companies, aren't they?
They are. And for you out there watching or listening, you're listening and watching two people that have been in this industry a very long time. So we're very careful about the tools we pick and, you know, what we recommend. And you've really done a great service, Jonathan, with WP Tonic by creating so much value and removing all those barriers and building a site that's way more powerful than Kajabi with the same flexibility of being a WordPress solution. You've done a great job. Any final words for the people before we sign off today?
Yeah, you know, just treat your membership as a journey. It's like any business. I think, and you know, listening to great podcasts like your own, and, you know, hopefully you also listen to the Membership Machine show. But, you know, the great things, there's a number of podcasts, YouTube channels giving great advice, and just feast yourself on that advice. And then it's about building some online presence, getting them on your mailing list. As soon as I talk to somebody and they say, yeah, I've got a mailing list, I've got 500 people that I've attracted to my content, I know that their membership site is probably going to be a success, that they've got the wheel moving. Too many people jump into the membership website and they've not thought about getting a mailing list. They've not thought about getting Facebook group, because, yeah, I would not build an enormous business on a Facebook group. But would I use a Facebook group, get my first 200, 300 people? Sure. Would I use TikTok to get 300 subscribers? Would I use YouTube? Anybody that's building a membership website that hasn't got a effective YouTube channel is not attracting people to the subject. alarm bells come up to me because it's totally free and you should be putting up some content, but you should be using that content to drive them to a website and get them on a mailing list.
That's awesome. So go check out wp-tonic.com. It's an incredible value for $35 a month. If you try to do it all yourself, you could be spending 10 times that amount with other tools.
Well, it's not only that, is it?
Yeah.
It's the time you're going to be utilizing, the time that you should be trying to build that mailing list and building a really nice minimum viable course, because there is a lot of work. But the beauty is with AI, artificial intelligence, and it's never been easier to write your syllabus, to write your course, to get the ball rolling, to edit the content. It's never been easier to get with your fantastic plugin and your team. And I've got to say, what Chris and his team provide in support is just amazing. And it's never been an easier time to get that wheel rolling and to build a membership site, is there, Chris?
That's right. Now is the time. So thank you for coming on the show, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. Go check out WP Tonic and subscribe to the Membership Machine podcast. Thank you for coming back on the show. We really appreciate it.
It's been always a pleasure, Chris, having discussions with you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of LMS Cast. Did you enjoy that episode? Tell your friends and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I've got a gift for you over at LifterLMS.com/gift. Go to LifterLMS.com/gift. Keep learning, keep taking action, and I'll see you in the next episode.